Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 6 of the Hate Live Beta Podcast for July 18th, 2013. A lovely Thursday night. Humid, disgusting here in Connecticut during a heat wave. And now here's your host, Darkside Phil. Alright, everybody. Sorry. What's going on? Welcome. Welcome to Hate Live. This is episode 6, the 6th podcast that I've done. I'm having fun doing them. A lot of fun. And, you know, that's why I'm continuing it. I like the podcast because it's a chance for me to just talk and vent. And it's better than doing like a channel update because I get to do it more consistently. And I think people really like the format. So I'm going to continue doing this. Now, that being said, I want to give everyone the rundown because next week there will not be a podcast at all because my girlfriend Panda Lee will be visiting me. We're going to be going around doing stuff here locally. It's the first time in 3 months that she's visiting and we're not traveling. You know, the past 2 months we've traveled to Philadelphia, then we went to Texas for SGC. This month we're finally just going to hang around locally here in Connecticut again. And because of that, we're going to be busy, and therefore there's not going to be any podcast next week. There will also pretty much be no new content when it comes to videos or streams, alright? Which is actually kind of fine, because honestly right now there's nothing going on, which is part of what we're going to be talking about. It is a dead summer right now. Pretty much a summer of non-events. There's all these games that they said they were going to come out this summer. They still haven't come out, and no one knows when the hell they are coming out. And what I mean by that is the digital downloads and such. For example, DuckTales HD, the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. There's like 2 or 3 games that were announced, and they were like, oh, they're going to be digital downloads. They have no fucking release dates, and no one has any clue when they're coming out. So I don't know what happened. Like, how are you going to sell your game if you can't even have a release date for it? I don't know. I think everyone was planning those games were going to be coming out during July, and then none of them have dates. Alright? So it's kind of unfortunate because I'm interested in playing them. Now they're going to end up coming up. How much you want to bet they're all going to come out the same fucking week, and they'll come out that 1 week in August when there's like 4 releases already. I guarantee it. But anyway, I digress. It is the summer. The summer is always a dead time. And what I try to do during the summer is do kind of filler series and such to entertain you. Now in the past I've done marathons of like movie games, character games like Batman and Spider-Man. This year I wanted to do things a little bit differently. I wanted to do a summer of retro where I played retro games from my childhood on the SNES, but also throw in 1 or 2 other classics like Metal Gear Solid. So this past week has been interesting because I played Metal Gear Solid. I completed it, alright. I also finished Earthbound, which was my first retro game of the summer. And I started Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, okay. In addition to that, I had a couple things this week, including Dynasty Warriors 8, which was a new release, as well as the Metro Last Light, the Faction DLC. And I've been working on all these. The Faction DLC is done. Dynasty Warriors 8, I'm doing co-op with Panda Lee, and we've played almost completely through one of the campaigns, the Wu campaign, and already we've played for like 5 hours. So just put that in perspective, right? 5 hours of gameplay, and we haven't even beaten 1/4 of the game yet. The game is insanely long. The problem is it's also insanely repetitive to the point where, unlike Dynasty Warriors 7, which I played 2 years ago, and that was the first Dynasty Warriors game that I ever played, and I said, man, you know, this is interesting, it's different. I feel like I'm playing the same game. It really does feel like Dynasty Warriors 7 with a couple new characters and a couple new weapons, and that's about it. It feels like it should have been a DLC pack. So honestly, I don't know if I'm going to play that whole game. Like, how much could I possibly play of Dynasty Warriors 8? It's all the same stuff. You know what I mean? Now, the problem, of course, right now is I don't know what to play. Because it seems like no matter what I play, people are saying it's not interesting. So I played Earthbound, people started watching it, and after a few parts said this game's boring and basically stopped watching it. Then I did Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, it's the same thing. People watch a few parts, this game's boring, it's old, and they stop watching it. And, you know, it's kind of frustrating for me, because here I am trying to find interesting original content for you guys to watch, and all I'm getting told is you're not playing the stuff that you should be playing, yet there's no consensus on what I should play. I did a poll to find out what you guys wanted to see me play in downtime. God of War HD won. Guess what? I started playing it. No one's watching it. So it's like, damned if I play what I want to play, and damned if I play what you tell me to play. So I don't know what to do now. When there's no new releases in the summer, I don't know what to do. Last year, I played the Grand Theft Auto games, and I think that was, you know, a one-time thing that you can do. I'm not going to continuously just go back and play every single Grand Theft Auto game every summer. So I'm not sure what to do right now and what you guys want me to play. I am trying to provide you with quality content. I do know that the content I'm putting out is quality. It's just that you guys are not interested in the games. At least that's what the majority are showing by basically only watching a few parts and then not watching anything else. I mean, let me put it this way. I'm uploading videos of these playthroughs. It's taking 12 plus hours for them to even show 300 views per video. Some of them are never even hitting 300 views. That's the lowest viewership I've ever had. So that's a problem. I need to find out what it is that you guys want to see me play. Alright? I know people in the stream chat are probably giving 7,000 suggestions, but you have to understand something. There's no consensus. Right now, right in the stream chat, do Jack 2, do No More Heroes 2, play Final Fantasy 7 and 8, play Devil May Cry 3, and that's the problem. Everyone seems to have their own personal favorite that they want to see, but when I go to play them, only a few people watch because it's only the personal favorite of those few people. It used to be that all the content that I put out, everyone would give the benefit of the doubt and watch. Now it seems like things have dramatically changed. So I don't know what I'm going to be doing over the next several days. I can tell you what I know I'm definitely doing. All right. So tonight we've got Hate Live. All right. Now I'm going to be uploading that to the King of Hate vlogs immediately after this ends. So I know that's going to happen. Tomorrow, for my first stream, I'm going to be doing Fallout 3. I've decided it's been long enough since I've played Fallout 3. I want to play more of it, okay? So the first stream is going to be Fallout 3. Then I'm going to be uploading 2 vlogs during the break, one of which is going to be the third headphone review. This one's actually going to be for the Triton headphones, which incidentally, I actually have them right here. See? I'm going to be basically doing an overview video of these headphones, showing you what they look like, what they come with. These are very, very different from the other 2 headphone videos that I've done so far, okay? And then I'm going to be uploading a review video where I basically compare all 3 of the headsets. I tell you which headset's the best for which deal, alright? Like, if you're a PC gamer, you want this headset. If you're a console gamer and you're looking for this feature, you want this one. If you're looking for the best price, you want this one. Problem is, I probably have to refilm the whole damn review. And the reason I have to is because I found out the pricing for these headphones has changed, or at least at retail price is different than what I paid. During my review, when I've already filmed it, I said, oh, this one's the cheapest. Come to find out, it's not. It's actually the middle cost. One of the other ones is cheaper, but it wasn't when I ordered these headphones, so I was wrong on the pricing in the video. Obviously, I want to give you guys accurate information, so I'm going to try to find some time tomorrow to film a quick 10-15 minute review video comparing all the headsets and basically giving you the correct pricing info. So that's going to be the midday tomorrow. And then for my second stream, I'm going to do more Dynasty Warriors 8 with Panda League Co-op. It may, I'll be honest with everyone, it may be the last stream I do of that game, because the last one I did yesterday, almost no one attended. We only had like 400-something people on the stream. The videos I uploaded to YouTube, most people are not watching. They're saying this is boring and repetitive. So I understand. I completely understand. The game is pretty much exactly the same as Dynasty Warriors 7. That's unfortunate. Especially considering Dynasty Warriors 7 I thought was really good, and this one just seems like a DLC, and I'm really disappointed with the game. This may actually be, and this is crazy to even think, this may actually be the very first video game that I've purchased that the videos that I made on it aren't even going to break even with the cost of the game. So I paid $60 for Dynasty Warriors 8. The playthrough may not even constitute enough money made to constitute the $60 because no one's watching it. Like, literally no one cares. So it's the first time that's ever happened to me, and I think it's just a sign of a few things. Number one, that the summer is a dead time, and the releases that are coming out are things that people just don't care about. And number two, that there is a migration, that a lot of the people who used to be the dedicated DSP fans are now diversifying themselves. They still come back and watch my stuff when I'm playing a big popular game, but they don't watch every playthrough anymore. I think that that kind of fan is actually dissipating. People are getting older. They have better things to do with their time than just sit there and watch your videos constantly. So I'm going to be striving to try to entertain you guys in this dead time of the summer. There are some new games coming out, which is a good thing, but again, I don't know if it's anything anyone wants to see. So let me give you some perspective here. Tomorrow I'm going to play Fallout 3 and Dynasty Warriors 8. Saturday, John Rambo will be here to do a new episode of Smart Guys, and we're going to resume our Super Mario World co-op playthrough from 2 weeks ago. A lot of people were actually disappointed that we put that playthrough on hiatus because we had the WWE pay-per-view simulation matches last week. And I'm loving the playthrough. I'm having so much fun playing this game. So is John. He says this is a blast. Like, he loves playing retro games. He really does. So for us to be able to play this game and have a blast, and you guys are enjoying it too, it's excellent. And I just cannot wait to jump back into this game, okay? Okay, so that's going to be Saturday. Right now, I've basically got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and part of Wednesday, because Panda Lee is actually coming to visit me on Wednesday. So I've got 3 days of full streaming and 1 half day where I don't know what I'm going to be playing at this point, because people are basically telling me through their non-viewership that they don't want to see Dynasty Warriors, they don't want to see the continuation of God of War, they're not really interested in Zelda, but I'll be honest, I really don't care about that because I want to play Zelda. Like I said, Zelda Link to the Past is a game on my gaming bucket list. It's a game that's one of my favorite games of all time. I'm playing it more for me than I am for work. Let's put it that way. So in that regard, I don't care if anyone watches it. I knew a lot of people weren't going to watch it to begin with, especially from the results of Final Fantasy 3 or 6 that I did last year. It's unfortunate because it's a classic. It lays the groundwork for all the current Zeldas. In fact, just today, I unearthed the Ocarina, which in the game, they don't even call it the Ocarina. They call it the Flute. And it is the Ocarina, and I was like, wow, see, this is the origin. This is originally where it came from this segment here of the game. And I think people, if they would give it a chance, if you're a fan of Zelda, you would love the playthrough. But again, people are just not patient anymore. They're not, oh, it's one portion is boring, that's it. I'm going to go fucking watch the shit that I usually watch instead of this. And that's frustrating. Someone like me who grew up with this era of games, and I know that these games are good and that they're a good watch, and a lot of people just aren't giving it a chance. So I'm going to try to figure out what to play over the next few days. Being that I have so much time to do it, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's going to be a new game. I don't know if I'm going to push ahead with something like God of War just to try to finish it. People are telling me one more session of God of War and I'll probably beat it. Then I'm actually getting very close to the end of the game. So maybe I will do one stream that's God of War, and then that way it'll be the end of that game. Okay? In addition to that, like I said, I might try a new game or whatever. I'm not sure. I had some ideas that I was bouncing around in my head of things that may get views. Like I was thinking, all right, so if I'm playing the old Final Fantasies, they're probably not getting views because they're the old Final Fantasies. But what's a Final Fantasy that's really hyped that a lot of people grew up with and say it's like the quintessential Final Fantasy game? Well, it's Final Fantasy VII. A lot of people say that. I actually don't agree. I don't think that Final Fantasy VII was as good as the Final Fantasies that I played before it. But a lot of people think it is the best Final Fantasy game. If I did a playthrough of Final Fantasy VII, would people watch it? I don't know. See, it's all these things that are kind of in my head jumbling around. What's good, what's not. A lot of people say Final Fantasy X, but keep in mind that has an HD remake coming, and I'm going to play that when it comes out. So I'm not going to be playing that now. That would be silly. Okay? Another thing. Okay? Another thing is, which I want to talk about, which could potentially be a good idea for a series, is that this week, completely out of the blue, completely unexpectedly, I had no idea this was going to happen, but my internet got upgraded. You might be saying, what does that mean? I think it was about, I want to say, was it during the weekend? I can't remember exactly what day it was, but Howard actually tweeted me, and he said, Phil, restart your modem. You're not going to believe this, but Optimum, which is the company that provides our internet, is upgrading anyone who has the special boost ability, which I do. I pay like $15 extra a month to get the fastest quality internet that they offer. Says they're upgrading us for free to a new internet that's like 3 times as fast as what you have right now. And at first I was like skeptical. I was like, really? Are they really going to do that for free? And what's the catch? But I did. I restarted my modem. Come to find out, I now have 90 megabit per second download speed and over 30 megabit per second upload speed. So I am now able to upload videos while I'm live streaming and capturing. So kind of similar to when I used to use the camera. I would record and I would be uploading while I was recording. I can do that again. And that's amazing. That's so awesome. In addition, the internet's so fast, my videos now upload faster than the length of the video. So if I have a 15-minute video, it takes only 10 minutes to upload. So I'm literally uploading faster than the human eye can watch the videos as they go live on YouTube. And I know it's a crazy change. I wasn't expecting it. This company, Optimum, which is really owned by Cablevision, is the parent company, didn't tell anyone they were doing that, okay? It just literally came out of nowhere. And everyone was like, why would they do that? And I guess the answer is they're trying to directly compete with Verizon Fios, which is the fastest internet in my area, but they're actually not available everywhere. In fact, they're not available here. I couldn't get them if I wanted to. But I guess Optimum said, listen, we got to do something to compete, because everyone who can get Fios is getting it because it's faster than ours. So they completely upgraded their infrastructure, and so now they have this faster internet that they're giving everyone, okay? So essentially, what does this mean for me and my content? Well, number one, it means that regardless of if you can catch a live stream or not, and regardless of if you like Twitch TV or not, you're almost going to be watching playthroughs live. And when I say that, I mean, for example, today I was playing Zelda, and then when I went to take my break every 30 minutes, I would queue up those 3 videos that I had recorded to upload, and so Zelda was almost live on YouTube, okay? That's one thing it means. Number two, it means that for new releases, unlike what was happening for the past several months since March, where you had to wait for me to play on my first stream till about 6:30 and then I would start uploading, videos of new releases will be going on my DSP Gaming channel like that. So as soon as I start playing, I'll play for a half hour and then immediately the new releases start uploading. So you're going to get earlier new release playlists and videos on DSP Gaming, which I think is going to be essential for some of the big games coming out later this year. People don't want to wait. If someone's doing it ahead of someone else, they're going to jump on that person, and so hopefully I'll be able to get back into that bandwagon, okay? Number three, this means, and I know this is going to blow some people's minds, that when I play fighting games, I'm not going to have much lag, if any. Last night, after I was done uploading all my videos, I decided I wanted to do a late night stream. It was the first time in months that I've done a late night stream. I did it, and I played Street Fighter 4. I played Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition. Blah, I know it's a mouthful, right? Now, traditionally, when I play this game, I have lag, and sometimes you can even see how bad it is. Last night, I played for like 2 hours. I maybe had 2 to 3 laggy matches out of the, 20, 30, maybe 40 matches I played. I had a great time. I was enjoying myself. I was able to get all my combos, all my reversals. I was able to jump over fireballs. Holy shit, what a notion, right? Keep in mind, I was doing this while I was live streaming, so he was playing the game while live streaming, and I didn't have any lag, okay? When I lost a match, I didn't rage, because I actually lost because I didn't know what was going on in the game. There were a couple people fighting me with weirder characters, like Gen, and 1 or 2 other characters where they were doing this crazy shit to me, and I was like, wow, I'm out of touch with this game, because I haven't played it in years. People have been playing this version of the game for 2 years, and I never really even touched it, so obviously I'm going to get my ass handed to me, but I wasn't upset, because I was like, I just need to learn. I'm actually learning, and it was funny, because that Gen that whooped my ass once or twice, by the end of the night, I rematched him, and I beat him, because I was able to adapt and learn his patterns of what he was doing. So, I had a hell of a lot of fun playing Street Fighter last night. Now, what does this mean? This could potentially mean that because I got good internet back, that it's worth it to play these games online again. Not to say that I'm trying to purposely become competitive again, but I like playing fighting games online. It's something that I enjoy. And I've been frustrated when I've tried to do it and I had lag, you know what I mean? I may be able to play them legitimately now. So, what I'm actually thinking of possibly doing is maybe doing an ongoing series where once a week I do a stream of me playing fighting games, okay? And that stream of fighting games, it'll change. Maybe 1 week it'll be Street Fighter 4, 1 week it'll be Injustice, 1 week it'll be Tekken, you know what I mean? So I'm alternating between them so there's variety, so no one game gets burnt out, but at the same time I'm still playing and adapting and learning and having fun. So it's an idea I'm throwing out there. There may be 1 day a week where one stream is all fighting games. And I think people might like that because that's where I came from. That was my roots. That's where back when I started on Dark Side Phil, those are a lot of the videos that people at first saw me making. And those were what gave me my first internet popularity to begin with. Okay? So I think it's a good idea. And of course, I see people in the chat saying, yes, this sounds good. Fighting game footage is great. The thing I don't want is to become burnt out because, for example, what happened with Injustice. When I first started playing Injustice, people absolutely loved it, alright? So then once a week I was doing a set of Injustice to the point where people got burnt out. And they were like, this is too much. You're putting out Injustice videos literally every day now, and we've had enough of it. Move on and do something else. So that's what I don't want. So I'm thinking doing it only once a week may be the way to go, okay? So that being said, one of the streams that I'm doing between Sunday and Wednesday may be fighting games. Maybe it'll be Tuesday night fights or, you know, Monday night. I don't know. It's going to be one night I'm going to probably be doing fighting games, all right? Maybe Sunday night. Who knows? Now, one other thing that I do want to mention before we move on to gaming news, because we're just about there, is what's going to happen with Demon's Souls? A lot of people have this question because I'm nearing the end of the game at this point, okay? At this point, I have one more stage to go, and it's boss, plus the bosses from stage 3 and 5, and then the last 2 stages. So it's looking like 1 to 2 more Demon's Souls streams, the game will be done, alright? And people are questioning what's going to happen, what are you going to do about it? This week, first of all, this weekend, there's no Demon's Souls stream. Because I just played Demon's Souls on Monday. So if you want to watch those videos, definitely check them out. They're in the playlist. I know not as many people were able to attend on Monday as they would on a Friday or Saturday, so the viewership was a little bit lower on the stream. So definitely, if you missed them, check out those videos, okay? But next week, obviously, there will also not be any Demon's Souls, simply because I'm going to be with my girlfriend, Leanna. So we're talking potentially it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks before there's more Demon's Souls. So when I finally do come back from all that, yes, I will be doing Demon's Souls once a week. Probably going to do it about twice to beat it. So I'm thinking 2 more streams, I'll probably beat it. After I beat Demon's Souls, what I'll probably do is replace it with Fallout 3. Because Fallout 3 I've only been playing once every very long time at this point. I haven't played it in almost a month now. I know a lot of people like it, and they get sad when they have to wait so long to see more. So what I'm thinking is do once a week, do Fallout 3 as an ongoing playthrough, and that way everyone gets their Fallout 3 fix, but I also start progressing through the game, which obviously right now it's been very stagnant. I haven't done that much because I haven't played the game. I haven't had a chance, okay? So, that's basically my plans to replace Demon's Souls once Demon's Souls is over. It'll be replaced with Fallout. I've got a set schedule through the Saturday. I'm not sure what I'm doing on Sunday, but I'm thinking maybe I'll do fighting games Sunday night. Okay, and then Monday, Tuesday, part of Wednesday, I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing yet. I want to see maybe on the comments of this video on YouTube, there'll be some good suggestions of something that I can do, and understand that when you make a suggestion like, oh, Devil May Cry 3, well, I'll tell you that right now that's not going to work. The reason it's not going to work is because it was already in a poll, alright? The poll twice, it didn't make the top 3 of the poll. So even though you may be the most diehard fan of Devil May Cry and you've been waiting for years to see me play Devil May Cry 3, understand that's not something that everyone's going to want to watch. I'm looking for things that will entertain people during this dead summer. Devil May Cry 3 is fine as a game to play when I'm playing something else as well, something else that's popular and everyone wants to watch. It's not something to be playing and taking up all my time during a dead summer. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of game I'm trying to think. What's a game that a lot of people would want to see me play that I maybe never played for YouTube, and it's going to entertain people? Because that's the conundrum I'm up against right now. It seems like whatever I pick isn't working out, and that means that that's a failure on my part to have, to have a rapport with my fans and know what it is that you guys want to see. All right? So I'm trying. Again, I'm trying to be more interactive this year. I'm trying to basically ask you, get your feedback, and listen. And that's what pisses me off a lot of the times. People say, Phil doesn't listen. He doesn't take criticism. It's like, how many major changes have I made this year directly because of fan feedback? I actually completely threw away the camera. Well, I didn't throw it away, it's right there, but I threw away making videos with the camera to go direct capture, which is what a lot of people have been asking for. I started live streaming, which is what a lot of people have been asking for. I started being more interactive with the fans. I unbanned everyone from all of my channels, and I've stopped actively moderating the comments on my videos. I actually only check the comments when, number one, I want to see, if there's feedback on something, but number two, when people literally complain to me, they send me PMs and tweet and say, Phil, you got to go to this video and do moderating because it's just completely out of hand with idiots. And so there's times I do that, but most of the time I don't even bother anymore because this is directly based off of fan feedback. This is why I'm doing this. So for people to tell me that I don't listen is like, why don't you just go fucking rub your head right into the wall? Because that makes more fucking sense than what you're saying. You're talking such nonsense out of your ass. Alright, so that's about it for the whole schedule and all that, alright? And now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about gaming news this week, because I have a few things I want to talk about. The first being some news from EVO. Some interesting news from EVO. First of all, it was announced the next DLC character for Injustice. And everyone kind of thought, gee, I wonder what it's going to be. You know, what exactly... you know, I'm getting confused here because I got another thought bouncing around in my head. Who's going to be the next DLC character for Injustice? And they announced it's Martian Manhunter. Now, it's kind of an anticlimactic announcement because people already assumed he was going to be a DLC character, because if you actually watch the trailer for Scorpion a few months back, it actually had Martian Manhunter coming out of the background almost like he was going to fight. So it looked like they were going to do that anyway. So I think a lot of people breathed a sigh of relief that they didn't say it was fucking Sub-Zero, because people would have went nuts. People absolutely hate that Scorpion is in Injustice, and people don't want another fucking Mortal Kombat character, although it is heavily rumored that Sub-Zero will be one of these DLC characters coming up for their Season 2 DLC pass. At least they didn't show that character off at EVO. I think that would have been really annoying. So they announced it as Martian Manhunter. They've got a gameplay demo out. It looks pretty good, as usual. All the DLC characters look really good. And the one thing that was startlingly weird, no release date. So you're hyping your new character. You've released the trailer. No release date. And no announcement of a Season 2 DLC pass and how much it'll cost and when it's coming out. So why bother? You know what I mean? If you don't have this concrete info, why would you tease? And then basically that's what it is. It's a cock tease. It gives you blue balls. It makes you want to play with Martian Manhunter, and you can't. You don't know when you can. So that's horrible marketing on the part of NetherRealm. I don't know why the fuck they did that. Another announcement that came out of EVO, Ultra Street Fighter 4. Yes, I said it. Ultra Street Fighter 4. And you may be saying, what the fuck? Street Fighter 4 came out, what was it, 2008 now? And this game is still getting expansions and content. And the answer is yeah. After 5 years, Capcom is still milking this game. Now, the announcement of Ultra Street Fighter 4 seemed to create a very controversial response from the gaming community, okay? There were some people who were like, well, this is great, because we haven't had anything new since Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition. The game's getting stagnant. We'd like to see new stuff. And they did announce there's going to be 5 new characters, 4 of which are characters you've seen before. You got Rolento, Hugo, Elena, and, fuck, now off the top of my head, I can't remember who the 5th one was. I apologize for that. I'm sure in the stream chat, someone's going to say right now who it is. Poison. That's right, Poison. So, you know, characters from Street Fighter Cross Tekken, alright, but they're going to be ported into Ultra Street Fighter 4. They also announced the game's going to be full of more gameplay tweaks based off of fan feedback, which I completely disagree with, because a lot of the times the fans are wrong. They ask for things that are ridiculous and would make the game worse. But I'm just saying. And so they're going to basically rebalance the whole game. Supposedly, they said there may be new modes or something. I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe there's going to be a new training mode or something. I don't know. But there'll be new challenges for the new characters and stuff like that. What they announced, I believe, is that there's going to be a downloadable version that's like 15 or 20 bucks. Don't quote me on that. I think it's around that price. But then there's also going to be a full retail version for 40 bucks, which is like, if you're just buying Street Fighter 4 right now, like, don't even bother. Seriously, you're going to be so fucking far behind on 4 or 5 years of gameplay that I don't know how anyone's going to get into it at this point, okay? But it's an interesting announcement, all right? And I have mixed feelings about it. I think, let me give you the perspectives. There are people that are very positive because they say, oh, new characters are always good. New modes and challenges are good. It's only $15, so Capcom's not ripping you off and forcing you to rebuy a retail version of the game. You know, and it's the first new content for this game in 2 years. Actually, it'll be more than 2 years by the time it gets released. So there's one side of people that are saying it's very positive. There's another group of people on the other side that feel completely the opposite. They're saying, now, wait a minute. Back when Arcade Edition was released in 2011, Capcom said that was it. They said that was it. We will not, you know, be adding and doing any more add-ons or expansions for the game. They literally said that. That's it. It's done. This is the final version, so you don't worry about that it's going to change in another 4 months or whatever. In addition to that, a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, the characters that you're porting into the game were already in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. So instead of giving us brand new, fresh, interesting characters and actually putting time and effort into this expansion, all you're fucking doing is porting characters from another game into this one, which is a lazy move. So a lot of people are actually angry about this. They're saying, you're just milking us for even more money. So now you're telling me if I want to continue to play Street Fighter, I again have to dish out more money to get the new edition, because you know that once that new edition comes out, no one will be playing the old edition anymore. So you're making me fish out another $15 for characters that I've already played with in another game, that by the way, was critically panned, and that the whole community, the competitive community, dropped and says this game is a piece of shit, and you're going to port those characters over in a lazy fashion, typical Capcom money grubbing at its finest. So, you've got the two sides. The two sides. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. Alright, I'm somewhere in the middle on this. And the reason I'm in the middle is because I have not played Street Fighter 4 in quite some time. at least attempting a competitive level, alright? I'll be honest, going to SGC and being in that tournament and winning that tournament, the Street Fighter 4 tournament at SGC, kind of reinvigorated me a little bit and said, wow, I could see again, I got that spark, that creative spark inside of me to play a game competitively, but because I had horrible internet, I didn't feel like doing it. Now I have better internet, and there's a chance that maybe I'll get back into competitive fighting games. I don't know. However, I'm interested in Ultra Street Fighter 4. Two of those characters, Hugo and Rolento, are actually some of my favorite characters from the Street Fighter series, and I would like to actually try to play as them in Street Fighter 4. So here's hoping that when they port these characters over from a different game, that they actually have them be decent and actually be able to put up a fight. Because right now you've got a cast of characters that's been around for how long? People have already honed these master level strategies. Yes, there will be some rebalancing, but for the most part, you're going to have brand new characters who have to try to hold their own against a cast that's already been established and found these top tier strategies. So here's hoping they give these characters a chance and they don't make them just like, well, they're in the game, but they actually kind of suck. They're underpowered. But, we put them in so you paid $15 for it, so that we did our job tough shit. That's what I'm hoping doesn't happen, okay? So I'm actually interested that next year, and by the way, again, no release date. All they said was, oh, it's going to be early 2014, maybe March, maybe spring. I hate that shit. It's an expansion. You can easily fucking tell when it's going to come out. Stop being lazy and tell us when the fuck it's coming out, okay? So that's that for the Capcom announcements. The only other real thing I want to talk about this week is collector's editions with games. And notably, a collector's edition was announced for Batman Arkham Origins. Now, unfortunately, it was only announced for European edition, and it looks really neat. In fact, I actually have a picture here that I want to show you guys because this collector's edition looks so neat. I mean, just look at all this that it comes with. So you've got a steelbook, I think it's a steelbook case, an art book, all kinds of extras, a DLC extra, and then the statue that actually shows Batman holding the Joker. And apparently, from what they're saying, this statue is supposed to be their first encounter. Keep in mind that this game is a prequel, alright? So you look at it and you're like, wow, that's a really fucking sweet collector's edition, right? So I go to my GameStop this week to reserve my games. And I brought my list of games that for the rest of the year that I need to reserve. And I said, I want to reserve Batman Arkham Origins Collector's Edition. They go in the system and they go, there's no Collector's Edition for this game. I said, what the hell do you mean there's no Collector's Edition? They're like, yeah, no, there's none. Well, that's ridiculous. I just heard online this announcement that there's a Collector's Edition. They said there's not not right now in the U.S. And I went home and I researched it, and lo and behold, take a look. This is only, look at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen here, or of the ad. It's only for Europe. So Europe is getting this awesome Collector's Edition. The United States apparently will not. At least at this time, there's no plans to bring it to the United States, supposedly. And, it's annoying as hell. Why is Europe getting these Collector's Editions that America isn't? So then I started doing more research because I actually, again, when I went to the store, I reserved Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. And I said I'd like to get the Collector's Edition. He says, there is no Collector's Edition. I said, what do you mean there's no Collector's Edition? They said, yeah, there's none. Like, that's nuts. Like, Assassin's Creed has almost always had Collector's Editions. Assassin's Creed 3 last year, I got the cool statue of Connor. So, lo and behold, I go online, and I find out that this is the only edition available in America. It's called the GameStop Edition, and it comes with a free DLC, and that's it. No poster, no art book, no soundtrack, no statue, nothing. Zip. Nada. Zilch. Nothing. It comes with nothing. This is what you get in America. Nothing. Now, then I go and I say, well, wait a minute, what's Europe getting? Oh, that's okay. Europe's getting 4 editions. That's right, they get the special edition. That comes with a special DLC. They're getting the fucking Skull edition, where it comes with a steelbook case, it comes with an art book, it comes with all kinds of collectible extras. Oh yeah, they're also getting the fucking chest bullshit edition. I don't know what this says, where you get a fucking collectible wooden box with a fucking statue of what's-his-face hanging off of a fucking flag. You got fucking pictures, you got collector's items, you got 100 items on there. Oh, by the way, they're also getting the real chest edition with another fucking chest with other extra shit. I was looking at it like, what the fuck? So Europe's getting 4 editions? Oh, wait a minute. This just in, they're going out with the Captain Crunch Special Edition. That's right. Fucking Captain Crunch is the captain of the ship. And then they got the Jack Sparrow Special Edition, where he fucking sails out and he acts like he's a drunken fool, because fucking Johnny Depp plays the same character in every goddamn movie. I was just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, how many fucking special editions of a game can they get? So Europe, again, just to recap, gets 4 special editions. North America gets 0. Like, how does that make sense? And of course, a lot of people are saying, well, Phil, you don't need the statues. Okay, understandably, in my situation, do I need more statues? No, I don't. But I'm just saying, for people who like collector's editions, what the hell happened to North America? It seems like this year, there's very few of them available. So, Europe, if you live in Europe, you know, party it up, because later this year you're going to get 100 special editions of every game, and apparently none of them are coming out in the United States, which I think is really stupid. I don't know what's going on with collector's editions right now. I'm hoping that this is just a temporary pattern, but looks like in North America really isn't getting anything anymore, okay? Alright, so that's it for my first segment of Hate Live tonight. Alright, I'm now going to take a few minutes break. Actually, my throat is very hoarse because I ran out of water. So I'm going to relax my voice a little bit. And when we come back, we're going to have Back in the Day. Today's Back in the Day segment is going to be a lot of fun. We're actually going to talk about cartoons. All the cartoons that I watched as a kid, but also about how Saturday mornings used to be, how there used to be morning blocks and nighttime blocks of cartoons during the weekdays. We're going to talk about the in particular cartoons and how it relates to gaming, because there were particular gaming series that became cartoons that were some of the weirdest shit you've ever seen in your life. I mean, really weird stuff. Sometimes cartoons had multiple shows running at the same time. Very odd. And I think it's going to be a neat segment. Again, people seem to really like my Back in the Day segments. I figured this one will have some gaming, but not all gaming, so that way it's a little bit of a variety for people. Okay? So I'm going to take a short break. If you're watching this on Twitch TV, just please hang in there. I'm going to run some ads while I go refill my drink and help my voice here. If you're watching this on YouTube, take a look at the description of the video. Right there in the description, you can click. There's going to be a timestamp. You can click and go right to the next segment and skip this commercial break, okay? So thanks a lot, everyone. I'll be right back in just a few short minutes. Stick around, and I'll see you for Back in the Day. Okay, everybody, welcome back to Hate Live, episode 6. This is my back in the day segment where I reminisce. I reminisce about the past, things from my childhood, me growing up as a gamer. And today we're going to talk about something that was a major part of my life when I was young. Cartoons, alright? Now, I don't mean Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and, you know, Mickey Mouse. Although, I'll be honest, when I was a kid, I did actually love Looney Tunes quite a bit, okay? I'm talking about the shows that kind of came out during the mid to late 1980s and early 1990s that became iconic. And it was kind of weird because there were almost like phases of shows where you could tell the reason. It was like, oh, this is the action figure phase, and then this is the other kind of movie tie-in phase, and it would go like that. And first of all, before we get into specifics of the shows that I would watch, what I want to tell you about is how you used to watch cartoons, because you really can't even do this anymore, okay? The way it used to work is that, first of all, during the week, the TV stations knew, traditionally, that children would be awake early in the morning before they went to school, and in early afternoon when they were getting home from school. And so what they would do, and this wasn't just like it wasn't Cartoon Network. Back then there was no Cartoon Network. Back then, yeah, if you can believe it, cartoons were actually shown on regular television stations. I'm talking, you know, 2 through 11 used to be big with cartoons. And so you'd have actually blocks of cartoons that would play in the morning. I'd say probably starting around 5 a.m. all the way to maybe 7:30, something like that. And then you'd also have a block of cartoons that would play at night. And that would be starting probably, I'd say, maybe 3 p.m. Sometimes it's the stations even as early as 2 p.m. through to, like, dinner time. So you're talking 2-3 hours of cartoons. And depending on what channel you watch, there were different, like, flagship cartoons that would play on each station. Now, I remember when I was a kid, I used to really like things like G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe was huge, all right? And G.I. Joe ran for quite a long time. It was actually, like, I think it had 2 or 3 seasons of the original show, and then they had another 2 or 3 seasons when they rebooted the show after the animated movie came out in movie theaters. I also loved Transformers. Everyone loved Transformers. It was such a cool thing to have a toy that transformed into something else, but then you could watch them on TV as well. Sometimes kids would have their toys out when the show was on, and they would play with the toys as they were watching the show, transform them along with the characters in the show. And I remember that I was just as big into G.I. Joe and Transformers, the figures, as I was the shows. And you know what? Let me say, I don't want to congratulate them, but say they did a really good job of finding a way to get kids to want toys. You know, you would watch this show, and really all the show was a fucking half-hour advertisement for the toys. So you'd watch it, okay, that's great. I want that toy, Mom. Can I get Bumblebee? Can I get Jazz? Can I get Optimus Prime? And of course, every show now they'd increase the cast, so that way there'd be more characters you'd have to go buy. And it would be this crazy tie-in scheme. The first cartoon that I really went nuts for was He-Man. And that was, I'm not talking, there was actually a reboot much later. I'm talking the original He-Man and the Masters of the Universe that was in like the mid-80s. I loved it as a kid. I had so many action figures of He-Man. And my parents would buy these for me. For like Christmas, I'd get 2 figures. For my birthday, I'd get 1 or 2 figures. And, sorry, I'm getting distracted because there's a bug on my ceiling. I think it's a centipede way over there. It looks like he crawled in the door. He's probably going to be crawling across my ceiling while I'm recording here. But, so yeah, He-Man. And by the time I was done, I probably had a good 50 figures, plus, like, castles and stuff. And I'm not talking that this was, like, over the course of a month. This was like several years, 2-3 years. I was a huge fan of He-Man, and so my parents kept buying me the He-Man figures. But then I started moving into other stuff, like the Transformers, the G.I. Joe, and then finally I fell into these blocks that I had mentioned, where it would be like you would come home and there was the Disney block, and I forget exactly, they had a name for it, and it would be like the 4 Disney cartoons back to back every day. It would be like DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, and then some other one afterwards that would always rotate through a couple different shows. This fucking bug is distracting the shit out of me. He really is. He's really distracting. Alright, so anyway. So that was really kind of the afternoon block that I would watch, and of course that block changed over time. In fact, eventually they actually ditched all the Disney cartoons from the channel, and they changed it to the WB, where they adopted all these Warner Brothers cartoons, where it ended up being things like Batman, Superman, Animaniacs. Later on, it was things like Freakazoid and that kind of stuff. All Warner Brothers themed cartoons, kind of Goof Troop was there at one point, and then they kicked it out and they replaced it with another Warner Brothers cartoon. I don't know if there was like a falling out between the channel that was running the Disney shows and you know, Disney themselves, and so they kicked them off and they decided to go with another company. I don't know what happened, but they kind of disappeared and got replaced. Okay. Now, there was also Saturday morning cartoons. For a lot of kids today, they don't know what the hell that means. Saturday morning cartoons were cartoons that there was a block every Saturday morning, probably starting early, like probably 7, 8 a.m., and it would run until noon. And noon was like the hard stop. There would be no kid shows after noon, okay? And what they would do is on every station, so I'm talking, you know, channel 2 and 3, which traditionally in my area are the same channel, channel 4 and 6, which traditionally in my area are the same channel, for channel 5 and then channel 11. So there were 4 major stations. I think it was like CBS, NBC, Fox, and WB. They would all compete with different shows on Saturday mornings. So if I'm remembering correctly, it was CBS had like Ninja Turtles, Fox had their own kind of slew of shows with like, you know, I know if you watch John Rambo's The Show, they've talked several times now about the X-Men animated series from back in the day. Fox had a lock on the Marvel animated shows. They had like Spider-Man, X-Men, and those were shows that were epic because they were ongoing. And those are the kind of shows that if you missed 1 or 2 shows, something might happen later on in the show that was actually contiguous. Unlike other cartoon shows where every episode is like a one-shot, and then by the end of that episode you could just forget anything that happened because it won't apply to the next episode. Those shows were ongoing, and that was a neat part of the appeal of those shows, is that they were ongoing shows where you could actually have investment in the characters, because maybe something that happened in this episode will come back later in this episode and affect everybody. Okay? So, that was kind of the, like I said, the Fox morning cartoons that everyone would watch. And things changed over the years. In fact, it was funny because the Disney block that used to be in the afternoons changed and moved from one channel to another. And then all of a sudden there was like a Disney block on Saturday mornings. So it got really confusing. And then there was this really weird time period when all the shows kind of shifted. Everyone wanted 3D. And so it went into things like Reboot and Transformers Beast Wars. And to watch those shows today, you laugh and you say, wow, those shows look like shit. But back then, that was like revolutionary to see something rendered in 3D and it's moving and talking. Today, most of the cartoons are made in an animation lab on a computer. And that's sad to say. Back then, everything used to be hand-drawn. You know what I mean? It was real hand-drawn cartoons. You don't see those anymore. Most of the cartoons you see today are not hand-drawn. They are made in a studio, in a computer with this new modern technology. They auto-color everything, and they auto-do the wireframes, and they make it look 2D. And it's a totally different process. But what I really think I want to do to tie this segment into gaming is to talk about a few of the shows that they used to air and how confusing they were when they were always related to video games, alright? So the one show that kicked this fad off was called the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. And what this was a cartoon based off of Super Mario Brothers characters, but it was like right before the time when Super Mario Brothers 3 was coming out. And so it had like classic stuff. Like it had King Koopa, it had some generic enemies, it had Mario and Luigi and the Princess Toadstool and Toad, and they would always be fighting King Koopa, alright? And it was set in the Mushroom Kingdom, and it was weird, let's just say the least. Like the show was very weird. It would have these weird references and things in it to like movies and adult humor that adults would get, but it's not really funny. It would be like really lame. Like there'd be like a reference to Scarface. There'd be a Scarface joke. It's like, say hello to my piece of spaghetti or something. And you'd be like, what the hell? Like, why would they put that in a kid's show? The kid's not going to understand that reference. And then there was always these weird puns regarding food. It would always be about meatballs or spaghetti or sauce, and there would constantly be puns about food. So the cartoon ended up just being so really weird. It was related to the game. Like, it had the characters, and if you watch it, it does kind of make sense related to the game, but it was just a really odd show. Now, to make matters worse, they decided that the cartoon itself wasn't a strong enough show to support a half hour. And plus, I guess they felt this was the time period when kids were having short attention spans. So what they decided to do was to actually incorporate live-action segments into the show, starring real-world actors playing as Mario and Luigi as plumbers in the real world. And I know you might say, that sounds really weird. Well, it was really weird. One of the guys in it was actually Captain Lou Albano, who was a pro wrestler at the time, and he actually played Mario on the show. So it was really weird for me watching WWE wrestling and seeing him, you know, as a manager in wrestling, and then to see him be on this Mario show. It was really just peculiar and odd to see that, okay? And the segments they had were the cheesiest of cheese. Like, they had, oh, it would be Dracula. What the fuck? Dracula and Mario. So a guy dressed up like Dracula would show up and make puns about, you know, the plumbers and stuff, and they would be making, you know, puns about Italian food, and just really silly slapstick comedy style stuff. It was just the weirdest show, alright? Now, this show ran for like a year or two, but then what happened was Super Mario Bros. 3 was released in the United States. It became the best-selling game of the time. And because it was such a big thing, they said, now wait a minute, we already have a cartoon show for Super Mario Brothers. We gotta adapt this show for Super Mario Brothers 3. And so they did. The show actually changed to like the Super Mario Brothers 3 show. And what ended up happening is they incorporated things from Super Mario Brothers 3 into the show, like the Koopa Kids all of a sudden were on the show now, alright? So all the new power-ups and stuff from Super Mario 3 were now on the show. And it was cool to see that, okay, that's cool. So the new game came out, and now the show's changing along with the game. That was a neat thing to see, alright? So I did actually thoroughly enjoy the Super Mario 3 version of the show, okay? Around the same time, there was another cartoon that came out called, a lot of you might know, Captain N, alright? The Game Master. This was another weird one, because what it attempted to do during the era of the NES was make a cartoon show where a live-action kid gets sucked into a TV and becomes a game character in this ongoing video game. And I think they called it like Video Game Land or something like that. And there was a princess, but it wasn't Princess Peach, although she kind of looked like Princess Peach. They said she was someone else, but it had these weird characters from different games. So for example, you had Simon Belmont from the Castlevania series was a main character, but he was nothing like his character from the game. He ended up being a guy wearing like a bomber jacket, goggles, and he did have a whip, but he was like a egocentric egomaniac. Like, he would look at himself in the mirror, oh, I'm so pretty today, haha. And instead of complimenting the princess, he would say, well, princess, you look good, but not as good as me. So he was really like a vain egomaniac. Now, when on earth did that ever happen in the game? I have no freaking clue, okay? Then they had Kid Icarus, and everything he would say would be, Medicus, Greaticus, Maximusicus. He had to always say a kiss on it. And it was just a weird thing. Again, when did he ever do that in the game? Didn't make sense. By far, the weirdest character in the show was Mega Man. That's right, Mega Man was actually on the show. But every time that he talked, he would talk like this, and he would say, Mega, Mega. So he'd say, hey, have mega good day. Hey, Mega High. And you'd say, what? Why would you have to say Mega before everything he says? When the fuck did that have anything to do with the game? The answer is it didn't. They invented all this weird shit in it. Like, say Mega High. Like, why would you think about that? Mega High. So to say hi to someone, he has to say Mega before it. Makes it sound like he wants to do drugs. It was so weird. He has such a weird, low-pitched voice, alright? Now, this show was so peculiar because it took villains from games, different games, and mashed them together. So you had King Hippo from Punch-Out. That's right, the big, giant, fat dude from Punch-Out is in it, but he's blue. Inexplicably, he's blue. And they never explain in the game, or in the show, why is he fucking blue? He was never blue in any video game. So it's like they did these weird creative license things with all the characters to make them different and unique. They had the Eggplant Wizard from Kid Icarus was in it. And then Mother Brain from Metroid. That was the other weird thing. So you got a villain from Punch-Out and a villain from Metroid but they never, the actual heroes from those games never show up. That's right, like there was never Little Mac from Punch-Out and, Samus from Metroid weren't on the show. So why would you take villains from games where you're not going to take the heroes from the show? It was very, very peculiar. Now, another show that ran along the same lines and parallel to this show was The Legend of Zelda. That's right, they actually had a Zelda cartoon show. Now, the Zelda cartoon show, that was something else, okay? That was something else. Because they just really, really took creative license with that. First of all, they turned Link from, this kind of youngster hero and turned him into, like, just a whiny, annoying person. He's like, you would not want to be around this person if he were real. You would want to punch him in his fucking face, kick him in the balls, and say, grow the fuck up, you stupid whiny bitch. So he'd always be around Princess Zelda, and he'd always be asking for a kiss. He would kill one monster. Oh, did that earn a kiss from beautiful Zelda? And of course, she was a cock tease. She would never kiss him. So it would always be like he would constantly be trying to win her affection, and she would never give it to him. So it was almost like a story of sexual frustration. Very odd. And then his trademark line on the whole show was, "Excuse me, princess." It's like, where did they get that from? So here's Link, he's fighting fucking Octoroks, and he's killing skeletons, he's stabbing them, and then the princess would say, well, you could have done it a little faster here, look what happened, I fell and I'm dirty. He'd go, well, excuse me, princess. And like, oh my god, what are they doing? Like, what the fuck? And then they actually had a crossover episode where Captain N went to the Zelda world and actually met up with Link and the Princess Zelda, and he says, excuse me, princess. I'm like, oh no. Like, what a disaster, what a catastrophe that this is happening. But, so those shows kind of ran in tandem, alright? Now, another really weird show that I want to talk about, this one came out a little bit later, a few years later, was Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, some of you might be saying, oh yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, I remember that show. And some of you might be saying, oh yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, I remember that show. But guess what? There's two different Sonic the Hedgehog shows that ran at exactly the same fucking time. That's right. During the same time period in history, the character was so popular that he had two cartoon shows at once. Two! And it was completely different plot lines, alright? So let me explain. So, one of them was called The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. And I compare this one, the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, I compare this more to one of the, like, Warner Brothers slapstick comedy kind of stuff. It was more about being extremely cartoony, off the wall. The characters would distort their faces and stretch each other out like rubber and do blow each other up with bombs and dynamite. It was really like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon a lot of the time. And it was weird because some of the iconic things that we talk about now with Sonic actually came from this show, alright? Like the fact that Sonic loves chili dogs. That was actually something that was made up by the show. They're like, I love chili dogs. And so these two robots that worked for Robotnik would actually use chili dogs to lay out traps for Sonic, and he would go for them, and then of course he'd always elude them, and he would always be the one-up, the winner during the day. Now, here's the thing. This show, like I said, is like a Warner Brothers cartoon, which means at the end of every episode, you can just completely forget anything that you saw during that episode because it was just silly fun. It was only meant to be silly fun. And so next episode is just like a reset. So there's no continuity whatsoever in this show, and I'm going to explain why this is important when I talk about the other Sonic show, okay? But the weirdest thing about the show, by far, was the end of the show. There would be a segment called Sonic Says. And this segment would basically go over, like, almost like, how can I say it? Like a public safety tip or public safety announcement, alright? So there'd be ones, don't say hi to strangers, that's no good. And you're like, what the fuck? And there were just some weird things about don't go in cars with people, don't accept food from strangers, like the weirdest shit. And you'd be like, do you really want your kids, this is how they're learning about this from this slapstick Sonic the Hedgehog show? Very weird. Now, to compare that, the other Sonic show was night and day from The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. I believe this one was just called Sonic the Hedgehog. It didn't have, like, a second title or anything to it, okay? Now, this show... excuse me. Now, this show was a lot more serious. It was more adult-oriented. It was a show that if you were an older kid or you were a more mature kid, you would watch because it actually did have an ongoing plot line, a large cast of characters who were main characters that you cared about outside of just Sonic and Tails, and it had an ongoing plot that evolved by the end of the story. So in this, it wasn't just silly fun like in the Sonic Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. In this one, Sonic and Tails are part of a group of freedom fighters. Basically, Robotnik has taken over the world. He's used his robots to basically take over all the humans, so that all the humans are slaves. And all the cities are completely roboticized. And he's actually now in the process of roboticizing all the forests and the animals. So Sonic teams up with Princess Sally, who is actually like the princess of this country or wherever they are during this time. And she's an animal, but she is trying to form this resistance group to come together and fight Robotnik. And there's a unique cast of characters. There's actually a guy who's kind of like the techie mechanic guy, and he's a walrus. There's, I believe, Princess Sally has like this assistant guy who's like French. He's a French character. You know, and he's insulted by everything, but he's also a wimp. He's kind of funny. He's supposed to be like the comic relief of the show. But this show, like I said, very serious. Some characters actually die. I think Sonic's uncle gets roboticized at one point, and then he actually loses his mind because he's become a robot. He has no memories of Sonic or anybody anymore. I mean, it's a really serious, interesting subject matter. It's something that if you were, you know, really into an ongoing show like on TV, this is what you would want to watch. It was really well written and really, really well done. If anything, I was disappointed because the show only went on for about 2 or 3 seasons, and then it came to an abrupt end. I guess it got canceled, so they had to hurry up and write an ending for it, and there were like 2 episodes that were rushed to get an ending for the show, and I was happy that the show had an end, but it had a cliffhanger ending. That's what really pissed me off. The show actually has a cliffhanger ending where Robotnik is defeated, but the guy who was his second in command basically takes over for him, but the show never got renewed, so the story never got to continue. So, outside of all that, the absolute weirdest thing about this entire situation, alright, okay, you got 2 Sonic shows, some crazy decision that 2 companies actually got the license to use Sonic at the same time. That's a rare thing to begin with. They used the same voice actor for Sonic. That's right, both shows had the same voice actor for Sonic. His name was Jaleel White. At the time, he was actually very famous for playing the character Urkel on the TV sitcom Family Matters. So out of all the things that you would have imagined, Urkel, this nerdy this nerdy black kid who is like completely out of place on the show, is now playing Sonic. So the second that you realize that that's him, you're like, what the fuck? Like, this is such a weird choice. And then both shows picked him. This is like, on what planet do you get the same people doing voice acting for the same character on 2 different shows? Like, it was just such a weird, unique situation. I don't think anything's ever been seen like that since, okay? So, this was just so weird. And then eventually it was kind of weird because the video game thing, it was big during the regular NES, and then of course Sega Genesis, and then it started to die out. Like, what I mean is, like, it wasn't like fad anymore. It was more like, okay, it's there and it's more mainstream, but they didn't necessarily have shows or anything for it anymore. And so, really, it went away. You didn't see any more cartoon shows of Sonic or Mario. Sorry, that stupid centipede, I believe, is crawling behind my fucking Ninja Gaiden painting now, so I'm not going to be able to kill him. But anyway, they kind of went away, and you never really saw video game-themed cartoon shows anymore. And I was kind of disappointed because what I noticed as I was getting older was this pattern. The pattern was that a lot of these shows were starting to get phased out for more live-action shows. So, for example, one of the biggest things that ended up being on Saturday mornings was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And okay, that show has a place, I agree. You know, it's a kid's show, but it's not a cartoon. And I always felt that Saturday morning was the home of cartoons. It wasn't supposed to be about live action and all this other shit that they were trying to integrate into it. And then over the years, it got even weirder. Because then they started having all these other shows that had, like, just weird shit. And then it became like, all of a sudden, Saturday morning was no longer about cartoons at all. It was about weird sitcoms for kids. So you'd have like Disney Channel style sitcoms that were playing on Saturday morning. I'm like, where the fuck are my cartoons? There's no cartoons on any goddamn channel. And then it was funny because then all of a sudden Cartoon Network came out, and it was just like kids just went there to watch cartoons from then on. And really, you don't have a lot of that stuff around anymore. It kind of went away. It literally kind of just like phased out into obscurity, which is really weird. But it was just such a huge thing and a staple of my childhood that I would be watching cartoons in the morning, when I got home from school, during Saturday mornings, and I had a blast doing it, and, you know, it was very entertaining. And to see the evolution of how it evolved, and now today, my God, some of the shows that I watch, the cartoons and shit that you see on TV, you're like, what the fuck is this? There's nothing that even looks real anymore. It's all super morphed. You know, nothing even looks like it's shaped the right way. Everything's over-accentuated. You can tell everything's drawn in a computer now. Nothing is actually hand-drawn. Nothing actually is attempted to even look like what it's supposed to be, and it's really weird. My parents actually say to me they feel bad for kids these days for the shit that they have to watch on TV compared to what I had when I was growing up, because my parents said, you know, the quality of your stuff was much better than what these poor kids have to watch these days. More than likely, the reason there was this shift, excuse me, I keep belching, was because during the 1990s, there was this focus on non-violence. I guess what they were saying, oh, there's so much violence. Think about it. G.I. Joe, Transformers, Ninja Turtles, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Sonic the Hedgehog. Every cartoon is violent. Every cartoon, there's heroes fighting villains, and they're attacking them and beating them up. And I guess there was a few hundred incidents during the Ninja Turtles' reign where kids were actually finding nunchucks and shit and bringing them to school and swinging them around and bashing people with them and shit. So there was this big movement by parents, oh, everything for our kids is too violent. We need to make things non-violent. And I think, unfortunately, that's a lot of what happened with Saturday morning cartoons, is that people said we don't want violent cartoons for our kids anymore, so they started making this fluff, these sitcom crap that no one fucking wants or cares about, and as you can see, doesn't exist anymore. So that's that. That's pretty much my childhood in a nutshell of how cartoons were for me. My personal favorite cartoons of all time, I can tell you right now. Batman, The Animated Adventures, the very first series that was on Warner Brothers. Outstanding. There's a cartoon that's written for young adults, meaning it's very adult in nature. There's a lot of adult issues. People get shot. And it takes you seriously. It doesn't hold your hand like you're a little kid. It's actually a show that an adult could watch and enjoy. And subsequently, after that, the Justice League cartoon, which was made by the same people, also was absolutely exceptional. Okay? Some of the Disney cartoons, DuckTales, I loved it. DuckTales and Darkwing Duck were probably two of my favorites. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers I liked a lot, but I think DuckTales edged it out a little bit. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a favorite of everyone. You would have to live under a rock to not be a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it was funny because at first all my friends were fans of them, and I had never seen the cartoon, and then one day I watched it and instantly I became a fan. It was just like a thing that everyone loved at the time. And like I already said, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and over the years, you know, tastes changed. I remember that when the Warner Brothers kind of fad was in, I loved Animaniacs and I loved Freakazoid. I thought those two shows were outstanding. Freakazoid in particular, like, it only had 2 seasons, but it was like so funny. I don't know how people didn't like that show and how it didn't continue. Something went wrong there behind the scenes in Warner Brothers. I don't think it really was the reception of the show. It must have been something in development hell or something, because really that show was excellent. Okay? And, you know, from time to time, my favorites change. At first, I hated Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I remember the first day, the premiere episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I watched all my usual shows for the day, including X-Men. And they said, up next, the premiere, it's a huge hit in Japan, you're going to love it, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I watched the show, I'm like, here we go. I'm going to watch this. I watch it, I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? It's a bunch of kids pretending to do kung fu. They're awful at it. They're all also awful, awful actors. Then all of a sudden they go to a scene that obviously wasn't filmed in the US because it looks like it was filmed on stock footage from 10 years ago in Japan, which incidentally it actually was. It was 10-year-old footage from the show. That's how old it was in Japan that they were just bringing to the US with giant cardboard fucking monsters fighting it out in stupid rubber suits. It just looked so fucking weird to me. I was like, what am I watching? I didn't know. It didn't sink in. And then after watching it for a few more times, I was like, okay, now I can understand. If I just suspend my disbelief, the show is actually quite interesting. But if you're just like, with a very logical, literal mind watching the show, you're like, I feel like I'm on drugs right now, man. Look at this, the worst. There's like the worst acted out martial arts ever on any show, and they're like passing it off as like it's amazing, it's the best show in Japan. Like, what is this that I'm watching? Mighty Morphin Power Rangers I also did watch, and that was kind of the beginning of the end, honestly, for cartoons. They lasted a few more years. And don't get me wrong, cartoons did survive, just not in the same form. What I mean is, they didn't have them, again, they didn't have them in the afternoons anymore, or they don't even have them on regular TV stations anymore. They've all but abolished normal cartoons. They don't have Saturday morning cartoons anymore, but they found a place to survive. A network like Cartoon Network, where they used to run these shows on length. In fact, they had Justice League and then Justice League Unlimited until finally it got canceled, and those were exceptionally good shows. But you also have channels like Adult Swim block on Comedy Central, where you get the opportunity to have more animation that can succeed. You've got, at nighttime, the primetime shows on Fox. Those kind of shows, never existed when I was young. They had The Simpsons, and that was like it. It was The Simpsons and nothing. It was The Simpsons and 3 sitcoms. Now, all of a sudden, these adult cartoons have come into play, and they're more commonplace. It's probably because people my age who grew up with cartoons are like, what happened to them? Now you can make adult cartoons, and we get them, and that's why they're so popular. So, all right, that's it. That's my back-in-the-day story about cartoons as I was growing up. I hope that was enjoyable and informative for you. All right, I'm about to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Now, here's what we're going to do, because unfortunately, tonight on Twitch, I know on YouTube you have no idea what I'm talking about, but traditionally what we do, we actually have a robot set up on our chat stream on Twitch that'll take a raffle all during the course of the podcast. People can submit their questions, and then the raffle randomly chooses them. For whatever reason, Twitch is screwed up today. The bots are not able to do any kind of moderation options. There's something wrong with the chat. So unfortunately, what we're going to have to do is attempt to either get the bot working, which I don't think we're going to do. So what I'd like to say is this. If you're watching this live on Twitch, okay, shoot me some questions on Twitter. Right now is your opportunity. @TheyCallMeDSP. Shoot me some questions on Twitter. I'll go through them, and I'll pick the best ones when I come back from this short commercial break. And we're going to have Q&A that way. We'll have to do it, makeshift this time around. Unfortunately, there's no other way around it, okay? Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, I am going to do a commercial break right now. So please just go ahead, click on the, next timestamp. You'll go to the Q&A section of the show, and you don't have to watch the commercial break or wait around, all right? So thanks, everyone. I'll be back in just a few short minutes. I'll see you for Q&A in just a second. Hang in there. Whoops. That's the wrong thing. Oops. Okay, everybody, welcome back to segment 3 of Ask the King. Oh my God, I'm just all out of sorts tonight. We got the Moobot's not working, our chat moderation bot. I don't know, I'm all out of sorts. But anyway, since unfortunately our chat is not working properly, we're gonna have to accept questions from the Twitch. I can't get my head on straight. From Twitter, we have to accept questions from Twitter. All right. So I'm gonna go to my Twitter right now. I'm going to read some of the questions, pick some of the best ones, and we're gonna go from there. All right. It's probably gonna be an abridged segment since we don't have the formal way to do this properly, but let's see what people have come up with. All right. Okay, let's see. Here's one from Super Blind Man. He says, what inspired your choice to read text and dialogue in RPGs and other games? Can't it be read in the video? Well, here's the thing. Absolutely. If you're watching me play an RPG and there's text on the screen and no one is narrating it, I tend to read it. And some people wonder why. Why is he doing that? Well, the answer is simply because you need pacing. For example, I might read faster than you read. Okay? You might read faster than I read. So there's no real common ground to know, okay, if there's 2 paragraphs, how long do I give them to read it before I go to the next screen? All right? There's also the fact that some of my fans have eyesight problems. I know this for a fact. I've been written by some people. They said, Phil, you may not believe this, but I'm actually a fan of your work, and I'm considered medically blind. I can't really see that much, but I'm still able to listen to the majority and understand what's going on in your videos. So if I were to not read the text in games that have text and no narration, that would literally be isolating a group of people who are fans of my videos. So 2 reasons. Again, the pacing, so that everyone has a chance to read it. If I'm reading it out loud, that means everyone's had a chance to read it. And you'll hear me speak it. So even if you cough or whatever, you still know what was there on the screen. And number 2, because some people are sight impaired, and it helps them for those playthroughs. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, what is the best movie based on a video game that I've ever watched? And that's from Jason Wong, JK Wong 111. See, and this is where it's funny, is because most of the video game movies I've seen were god-awful. Like, really, really bad. Like, I grew up in the day when they made the Super Mario Brothers movie. If you want to see a bad fucking movie, that's one you'll cry about afterwards, because that is just such a horrendous movie. I saw the Street Fighter movie. Wow. That was like, talk about you don't understand the source material at all, and you take a story that actually could be interesting and riveting, and you turn it into shit. That's what that was. But I'd say for the ones that I've seen, the first Mortal Kombat movie actually is not that bad. And I know that's kind of me saying it's not that it's good, it's just not that bad. But that's how bad most video game movies actually are. I did enjoy the first Mortal Kombat movie. Shit, outside of that, I'm struggling. I am struggling to even think about a good one. I'm actually looking now to see if anyone is saying anything in the stream chat, and a lot of people are saying, yeah, in Mortal Kombat, what else could you say, is a good movie? They've just been so bad. I never actually saw Max Payne, so I can't comment on that. Here's what I can say here. A lot of people say Resident Evil, alright? A lot of people do say that. What Resident Evil? What about Resident Evil? I think that the Resident Evil movies are a good line of movies. If you like sci-fi horror action, they're not bad. But those movies are not fucking Resident Evil. All that is Wes Anderson, or is that his name? Something W. Anderson or Wes Anderson, whatever his name is. Anderson. I'm gonna call him Anderson. He fucking takes his big fucking wallet that's like just heaving with money. Like it's just disgustingly packed with hundreds. And he takes out a fucking wad like this. Alright? Oh, Paul W.S. Anderson is his name. Thank you. And he takes a giant wad of money out like this. And he says, hey, Capcom, can I use the characters and the general shit from your franchise? And Capcom says, Well, we could say, all right, if you use artistic integrity and you keep it to the original vision, but instead Capcom says, we like monies. Yes, please give us all your monies. So they take the money and they don't give a fuck what the movie's about. So he's made a series of movies with characters from Resident Evil, with zombies from Resident Evil, even literally with major things like Nemesis from Resident Evil. But that shit is not Resident Evil. That is nothing whatsoever like the creative vision for what Resident Evil was supposed to be and is. Those movies are good movies, but not good Resident Evil movies. So I wouldn't say those are the best video game movies, because I don't think that is a video game movie. I don't think it is at all. I think it's a reimagining of the story of the video game. I mean, especially because the main character is a girl named Alice, who's never fucking shown up in any of the video games. I don't think, some people say Tomb Raider. I actually, in particular, don't really like Tomb Raider. I think that Tomb Raider is an exploitation movie, where basically they tried to take Angelina Jolie, who was hot at the time. She was actually an up-and-comer at the time. This is before she was a superstar. And they basically put her in the skinniest, fucking, tightest shirt, so her tits are just humongously large in those movies. And that's all it was about. Like, seriously. Like, sure, there was a plot and stuff. Did anyone even know what it was? No, they were looking at the titties. That was the whole movie, was the titties. And then they made a sequel. They called it Tits 2. I don't know what the fuck the name of the movie was. It was more titties. That's all those movies were. Angelina Jolie's titties. Stupid. Okay. The next question is, this is a good one. From Eden's Cross. He asks, question for Hate Lie. It's been now, people in the stream chat are laughing at what I just said about tits too. Assassin's Creed 4 has been confirmed to be anywhere from 15 to 25 hours long. Now, in Assassin's Creed 3, you didn't do a lot of the side content. Are you going to be trying it out in Assassin's Creed 4? It's dependent upon many different factors. First of all, the good news is, because of the format of the way that I'm doing my videos now, the fact that I'm not, I got to get through this one game to start the next game, I'm actually playing multiple games at a time. Usually I play 2 different games at a time, 2 different streams, okay? What that means is that, yes, I have the opportunity to take a little bit more time with each game and maybe do some more side content, okay? The bottom line is going to be this. Is it side content that I enjoy? I'm going to be honest with everyone. The naval battles and also that stupid homesteader gameplay of Assassin's Creed 3, I fucking hated it. I thought it was boring as hell, and I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to wander around the forest killing animals and then save a homesteader. Oh, no. It was stupid. I hated it. I did not like it in any way, shape, or form. That's primarily the reason I didn't do it. I just didn't like it. So if I'm trying a side mission, I really don't like it, or find it fun, or find it adds anything to the game, I'm not going to be doing that side content. It's all up to my personal discretion. It's about me having fun. I'm not going to be playing it and doing the content if I'm not having fun with it. But hopefully I will be having fun with it. I did see the trailer, or the gameplay at E3, and I did think the gameplay looked good until the PlayStation 4 demo completely crashed. So let's hope that doesn't happen with the retail version of the PlayStation 4. And we'll see what happens when it comes out. We have to see what the side content is before we can make judgments like that, you know? Alright, so let's refresh here. Probably going to take 2 or 3 more questions. Oops, I lost my place. I guess this one could be a quick answer from Clone078. He says, what is your best fighting game or tournament moment of all time? Now, I've had some good performances in tournaments. I won both of the East Coast qualifiers for Evolution for Super Turbo. One was actually Street Fighter 4 Anniversary Collection Edition, whatever the fuck that game was called that year. I won that qualifier for the East Coast qualifier for EVO, and I also won the next year Super Turbo East Coast qualifier for EVO. Okay, I've traveled across the country to places like Chicago, to places like California, to places like Vegas, and I've actually done really well in other qualifiers. In fact, I got, I think, 5th place at the West Coast qualifier for Super Turbo in 2007, and that blew some people's minds because they said Phil's good, but he's only good on the East Coast. He doesn't really travel that much, and if he actually played the best players, that they call them the OGs from back in the day, the original gamers, who were the ones who grew up in arcades playing Super Turbo, he wouldn't be able to hold a candle to them. Well, I went to the West Coast, and I did. I whooped a lot of their asses, and I ended up getting 5th place in their tournament. So that kind of, oh shit, kind of made a lot of people step back and say, wow, he really is good. But by far, my best tournament performance has to be, it was 2005. Super Turbo. It was on PlayStation 1, which is a version of the game a lot of people disagreed with. They didn't like it, but that was what they went with that year for EVO. And I went up against the best in the country, and I went and beat them back to back. Bob Painter, Jason Wilson, Mike Watson. I can't remember if I played John Choi in that tournament. I think I did beat John Choi in that tournament as well. NKI. I basically beat every American that was put in front of me except for Bucktooth. For whatever reason, there's this player, I don't even know if he's around anymore. His name's Bucktooth. He wasn't even known for Super Turbo. He was more known for Capcom vs. SNK 2 and a couple other games. For whatever reason, he's always had my number in Super Turbo. I don't think I've ever beaten him in tournament in Super Turbo. I don't know why, because it's funny, because everyone says he's good, but he's not, like, amazingly good. He just always beats me. He's just had my number. And that was the year he was the only American that beat me. I beat every other person they put up against me, and went on to the finals, and finally lost and got 4th place, but the top 3 were all Japanese players. So you're talking, you know, best in the country that year. That was an amazing accomplishment. Of course, that's what started a lot of the controversy. Oh, he's not the best. That was the PlayStation 1 version of the game. That's not real Super Turbo. To which some people were like, but so what? That's the version they chose for EVO, so maybe you should have practiced on that version. If there were differences between the arcade version and the PS1 version, how's that Phil's fault? He played the version of the game that was at EVO, and he did really well. So there was always been controversy, especially Street Fighter. There's always people who try to take away. Whenever you're someone who's not, you know, especially because I'm East Coast, I wasn't beloved by the West Coast. They didn't like me that much, and I was very outspoken about things, just like I am now on the internet. Surprise, surprise. I was very outspoken in the Street Fighter community about bullshit that I saw too, and therefore a lot of people disliked me. And for me to be the best player in the country that year, a lot of people to this day will say that didn't count. So ridiculous. Oh, that EVO didn't count that year. Like, what the fuck? But that's how much people disliked me, is that they try to discount my accomplishments in Street Fighter. Alright, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Probably going to pick 1 or 2 more, so I'm looking for a really good one. I already answered this one about the action figures that I collected over my childhood years. So the question is, do I still have them? That's from Maldawan. I do not have any G.I. Joes or Transformers. I gave them all away. I even collected X-Men figures at one point. I gave them all away. The only action figures I still own are the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe figures. Unfortunately, they've been in my parents' attic for like 20 years. I'm sure by now they've fallen into decay. They're probably a mess of plastic. My parents actually are going to go up there soon and look at them and see what the hell's up there and see if there's any way they could maybe sell them for a few bucks online. I told them, go ahead, because I know those things are, I played the hell out of them. Like, they're not in any, you know, condition that a collector is going to want them and pay top dollar or anything for them. So, okay. Oh my god, someone asked me, what WWE Diva do I want to have pose for Playboy? None. Oh, okay, I guess the guy who I played Demon Souls with this past week, who during the Chapter 3-3 boss fight, basically all it is the boss summons a character to fight you. He's tweeted me. He says, I wish that you didn't rage quit the fight in Demon Souls with me because I was going to let you win. Also, I was level 94, but my character was an anti-magic build, which is, I guess, why I couldn't really hurt him that much. Well, guess what? You were going to let me win? Then why did you keep fucking healing? I had already wasted numerous potions, most of my healing items. No, I wasn't going to continue a worthless fight that was unwinnable because you kept healing, and you were also way more powerful than me with way better gear. So that's why I rage quit, because you weren't giving any indication you were going to let me win. Oh, my girlfriend, Pandalia, asks, what are your plans after YouTube? When will you retire? Plans after YouTube, I've said this numerous times, but I guess it's worth saying again. I would like one day to open my own business. Not to say that this isn't my own business, because it actually is. But one day after all this, or maybe I would like to say, maybe when I'm not just doing this full-time, maybe this is a part-time gig, I'm still doing this, but I'd like to start my own business of some sort. I have no idea what it's going to be. I've thought about many different things, from electronic stores to video game stores to my own video game arcade to food stores, like opening a franchise to a coffee shop. All kinds of stuff have been in my mind. My goal is that if I own my own business, I can control it. Not that I have someone talking down to me telling me how to run my shit, all right? My goal is to be the boss. And so that's what I want to do. I just don't know what it's feasible to do that in yet. And I would probably say, I don't know if I ever want to fully retire from YouTube and Twitch, meaning I'd love to keep sharing my life experiences with everyone, but there is definitely going to come a time when I'm not going to be just playing video games full-time anymore. You know what I mean? Maybe it'll be more of the case of once a year there's a really good game that I want to play and do a stream of, and I'll do it, and I'll put it on YouTube, and I'll review games, but I won't necessarily be doing full playthroughs anymore, and you know, if I go on a vacation or some cool thing, maybe I get to buy a house, I want to show you guys, oh, I upgraded this. That's the kind of stuff that I would show you in a vlog. Even maybe if I have my own business, I could show you my business. How does it run? How does it operate? Here's all the cool things we do at my business and starting it up, and this is what's involved in running a business. Kind of documenting that process could be awesome. And that's the kind of stuff that I think I could do in the future, that it would be like, all right, he didn't retire, but he basically changed his content to what he was doing with his life. And I think that would be a really neat thing. When can I do that? No freaking clue. Right now, especially with the things the way that they're going, with Machinima just renegotiating my contract, with views fluctuating like crazy. I don't know. I'm building a bigger viewership on Twitch, but it seems like I'm dwindling a little on YouTube. I don't know what's going to happen in the coming years. Right now, I can be completely honest with everyone. I'm making way less money this year than I did last year. Okay? And a lot of people might say, what does that mean? How about half? Half of what I made last year is what I'm making this year. By no means am I saying that's bad. Okay? I'm just saying things have very much declined this year, and so I need to adapt to this and see how long can I make this work. Do I maybe have to do this a little bit longer? I would be honest with everyone, if I kept making the kind of money I was making for the past 2 years, I was hoping I would do it a few more years, save up enough money to open my own business, and then possibly, again, cut back on the YouTube stuff. But now it's looking like maybe that might not happen because of what's going on with views and with YouTube's fucking one-channel bullshit, so no one can even find videos, no one's watching any videos. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. That's it. That's how my life's always been. It's like you play it by ear and the future is uncertain, but I don't know if I want it any other way. Do you really want a certain future? That's kind of boring. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens with that. I'll probably take 1 to 2 more questions. Let me go down here. Oh, here's a good one. I'll do 2 more. This one's really good, so I want to do this one. From That Nerve Guy, he asks, what are your thoughts about Killer Instinct being booed at EVO? Alright, this is interesting because here's the situation, because a lot of people don't seem to understand it. At SGC, which was the gaming convention I attended 2 weeks ago, they had Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct was premiered there. They had a gameplay demo of it, then they had it used in the tournament. People there loved it. People there were cheering it. Yes, Killer Instinct, amazing. I love it, right? Then, at EVO, they kind of did the same thing. They did a gameplay demo of it. The commentators were trying to do commentary over it. And the people in the crowd were booing. And then, of course, they concluded it coming exclusively to Xbox One. The entire crowd erupted, boo! If you want my honest opinion, I feel really fucking bad because this is the worst kind of situation, all right? Directly as a result of the effects of very few people at Microsoft who made extremely stupid business decisions that were anti-gamer decisions, there is now this mob mentality on the internet that the Xbox One is garbage, alright? Even though Microsoft went back and changed all those anti-user policies and got rid of them, there's still this overwhelming negativity surrounding the console. Even though now Don Matrick, who was responsible for that shit, even though he's gone from Microsoft, the negativity still lingers. And my biggest concern here is what's going to happen to these game developers who are completely innocent. They didn't know this shit was coming. They probably knew nothing about these things that Microsoft was going to announce, okay? How do these game developers who thinking, last gen, Microsoft was all about the gamer. So, we're going to go with them. We're going to do an exclusive partnership with them. Killer Instinct's going to be console only. Rise is going to be Xbox One only. I'm sure there's many games that are going to be Xbox One only exclusives going along with last gen performance. Now all of a sudden there's this huge negativity on the internet. No one wants to give the Xbox One a chance. You get a presentation of a game like Killer Instinct at EVO, and they're booing it. If you want my honest opinion, 99% of the people in that room were booing it because it was on Xbox One, not because of the game. And that's a shame. That goes to show you the power of the mob mentality of the internet. That here's something that actually has quality to it. I've seen Killer Instinct. The game looked pretty decent when I saw it at SGC. Why the fuck are they booing it? You know what I mean? They haven't played it yet. They don't even know half the gameplay implementations yet. How could you boo it? And the answer is because it's on Xbox One. That's not fair. Especially for the studios working on it, those people who are busting their ass to try to make good games for this console. Now you're going to just fuck those studios over because Microsoft made a mistake? I don't think that's right. I really don't. It's going to be a shame. Really, it's going to be a shame if here comes, November, December... November, I guess it is for Xbox One. When it comes out, if day one I get it, and I get Killer Instinct, and I jump online, and I can't fucking find anybody to play, because everyone boycotted the Xbox One, even though Microsoft realized their mistake by having this Don Matrick idiot in their management, gave him a fucking big boot to his ass, and he flew over to the shitty sinking company Zynga, and now they completely changed all the negativity and took it away from the console. That's a shame that people are now going to probably boycott the system, but there's nothing that can be done. That's the problem when something like that happens. So the future's uncertain. I personally think it's unfair to Killer Instinct for people to be booing it because of the console it's on. That's, like, insane for me, okay, to be doing that. All right, one more question. Let's see if I can find a good one. Oh, all right. So the final question, this was something that came up last week, but I didn't mention it in gaming news because it's just so fucking stupid. I don't think it's news. I think it's stupidity, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere, so I don't know why we're wasting our time even wasting our breath on it. So this will be the final question for tonight, everyone, so please no more questions via Twitter, okay? This question is, what do I feel about the petition, the online petition right now being made from people to reinstate the DRM, the always-on internet, and all that stuff that was going to be on the Xbox One that basically they removed after the majority of people on the internet said, no, this is stupid, this is negative, and we don't want it. How do I feel about the petition to get that shit back? It's this simple. There's just people who are just so fucking closed-minded and stupid. They think that Microsoft that knows better than everybody. Okay, they do. And, oh, well, Microsoft obviously knew better. You guys would have liked it if it got implemented. It's just that Microsoft never advertised the true advantages of this. And I agree there. Microsoft did not properly explain the positive advantages of having always online consoles, this DRM on their content. They never even, before the negative feedback happened, they never even mentioned that you were going to be able to share games with up to 10 people. Like, why wouldn't you have mentioned that? Why are you hiding that from the public? If you're going to present us with something overwhelmingly negative, you better fucking balance it with a reason why we need it. My console always needs to be online. Tell me what features I'm getting and why, and not just that so you can check to make sure I'm not pirating games. And Microsoft did a horrendous job of that, okay? So, for people to be petitioning for it back is just a complete and utter waste of time. Even if you thought, oh, I want to be able to game share with people, that's a cool thing. I like the all digital, I don't need the physical copy of the game, and yada, yada, yada. Even if you think that's a good thing, just stop wasting your time. Understand, there was such a massive amount of backlash to it. No matter how many signatures you get on that goddamn petition, Microsoft does not give a shit. They've already fired, well, of course, not technically fired. They got rid of the guy who was responsible for that shit. They're obviously not going to go back on their word now. So just kind of get that idea out of your mind. Don Matrick's gone. So is all that bullshit. And it's not coming back. So the petition's a complete waste of time by a bunch of fucking fanboy idiots. Okay, so that is it for this edition of the Hate Live Beta Podcast. Now, as I said at the beginning of the show, I just want to remind everyone, there will not be a Hate Live next week because I will be spending time with my girlfriend Panda Lee. And the week after that, there will not be a Hate Live because it's actually going to be the next episode of Ask the King, okay? So, for the next episode of Ask the King, there's several ways for you to submit your questions. You can either go to thekingofhate.com/forums, and in there's a section right there for Ask the King. I already have a thread up for next month's episode. It's going to be aired on April 1st. Not April. Oh my God. My mind is out of sorts. It's so hot. My mind is out of sorts. August 1st, 2013, Thursday is when it's going to happen. Okay? You can submit your questions in the forum. That is the best chance for getting your question answered, because I actually personally review every question that gets posted on the forum, okay? In addition to that, that day of, I will post up on Twitter and Facebook that I'm accepting questions. And at that time, you can post up on Twitter and Facebook, okay? And then finally, that day, the day of, when I'm actually doing the live stream of Ask the King, if we can finally get the damn chat bot working again, or the raffle in with the moderation bot, we will be doing that again for Ask the King. So you'll have a live opportunity to also submit your questions. So please do so. In 2 weeks, Hate Live, not Hate Live, in 2 weeks, I told you, I'm so out of sorts because of the heat. In 2 weeks, Ask the King. I'm very excited for it. I can't wait for it, and I hope that you'll be there for it as well. Okay? That's it for Hate Live. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, the cool thing about this is because I have such fast internet, as soon as I go down, I'm going to actually start uploading this to the King of Hate vlogs, and I cannot wait to see how fast this uploads this week, because traditionally, it was taking anywhere from 2 to 3 hours just to upload, and then it was taking YouTube an additional hour or two to process. Fingers crossed that this can upload super fast, and that way it can get live relatively quickly, maybe even by midnight. That would be so awesome. So that's it for episode 6 of Hate Live. Thanks everyone who joined me. I hope it was entertaining for you. If you missed any part of the podcast, you can see it over on YouTube in just a few hours after it uploads and processes. So have a good night, everyone. I'll see you in 2 weeks for Ask the King. Peace out, and hope to see you for gameplay in the next few days. Have a good night.